Hello students, welcome back to the science class. Hope you must have enjoyed your Diwali vacation. Now today we are going to start our second term science portion. You observe in your surrounding various types of living and non-living things. Animals, plants and microorganisms all are living things. You studied in your previous class that all living things are made up of cells. And today we are going to start our next lesson, that is cell structure and microorganisms. You already learned characteristics of living organisms, which are movement, growth, respiration, reproduction, responsiveness to stimuli, and cellular organization. In cellular organization, you studied that the cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of living organism. Let us see first the term fundamental structure. Students, you observe buildings in your surroundings, which are made up of bricks or blocks. These bricks or blocks are fundamental structure of that building. Similarly, cells are the building blocks of living things. It may be single cell microorganisms or multicellular organisms. Students, if you see your textbook, what it contains? It contains chapters. In chapters, paragraphs are there. In paragraphs, sentences are there. These sentences are made up of words and words are formed from the alphabets. So, alphabets are the basic structure of books. Similarly, human body or a body of an organism is made from various organ systems. Organ systems are formed from various organs which are made from various tissues, and tissues are made from cells. Or you can say cells make the tissues, tissues make the organs make the organ systems, and organ system make the whole living organisms. This is the organizational level in living organisms. Let us consider second part, that is basic functional unit. We all know our body performs various functions like movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, etc. and walking, bending, standing, etc. All movements are possible due to muscles which are made up of various tissues, and tissues are made up of cells. Another example is when we eat something, it reaches in stomach through mouth and esophagus. In stomach, it is converted from complex nutrient into simple one, which is further absorbed by the tissues present in stomach and small intestine. It means the process of digestion and absorption carried out in cellular level. It doesn't matter the living organism is micro or bigger one. The life processes carried out on a cellular level, and hence it is called as cell is a functional unit of a organism. In 1665, Robert Hooke was the first one to find that the structure of cell resembles that of honeycomb, made up of many small compartments. This was thin section of cork. Cork means a light soft material which comes from the outside of a type of a tree. He observed it under a microscope. So, cell is the fundamental unit of life. All the living organisms are made up of cell. It is the structural and functional unit of life because whole body is made up of cells. It is known as the fundamental unit of life because it regulates all the functions inside an organism. The cell is a Latin word for a little room. Robert Hooke discovered cell. Next is measurement and observation of cell. In 1673, Anton van Leeuwenhoek assembled various lenses to construct a microscope and observe microorganisms under it. Cells are extremely minute in size. Micrometer and nanometer are the units used for measuring their size. The compound microscope is used for observing cells. An object on a glass slide magnified many times by the lenses of this microscope. We know that 1 centimeter is equals to 10 millimeter. 1 millimeter is equals to 1000 micrometer. 1 micrometer or micron is equals to 1000 nanometers. So you can imagine how tiny the cells are. If we observe onion cell under a compound microscope, it will appear as shown in this figure 11.3. If you observe carefully, you can see that all cells are not alike. Different cells have different shape. There is great variation in the shapes of cells. Their shapes are mainly related to their functions. You can observe the cells shown in 11.4 figure in textbook. Cells are of many different shapes. For example, columnar surface cells, smooth muscle cells, circular red blood cells, rod shape, spiral, oval, rectangular, etc. Next is components of the cell. Each cell contains various components for carrying out the life processes or functions of the living organism. These components are called organelles. Cell organelles are studied with the help of the electron microscope, which has magnifying power of 12 into 10 raised to the power 9, that is 2 billion times their actual size. You already studied that cells are of two main types, that is prokaryotic cells, which are present in microbes, that is single cell animals, and eukaryotic cells present in bigger animals. Eukaryotic cells are divided into two main types, animal cells and plant cells. These cells consist of various types of membrane bound cell organelles. Please observe the figure 11.5. Plant cells have a definite shape due to the presence of the cell wall around them. This cell wall is absent in animal cell. Observe the figure. The green outermost covering can be seen in plant cell, that is the cell wall. If you observe this figure carefully, you can find that plant cell contains single large vacuole, whereas in animal cell it is smaller one. Animal cells and plant cells share the common components of are nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria, cell membrane, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, Golgi bodies, etc. Plant cells have extra components, a large vacuole, chloroplast and a cell wall. First we see the cell wall. The cell wall is the outermost covering of a cell. It is present only in plant cells. Plasma membrane. The plasma membrane, also called the cell membrane, is a kind of thin covering It is extremely delicate and flexible. It is the outermost covering of animal cells. It is also called cell membrane. Cytoplasm, the liquid part in the cell present around the nucleus, is called cytoplasm. It occupies the space between the plasma membrane and nucleus. Cell organelles are scattered in the cytoplasm. Now we see the cell organelles, which are nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, mitochondria, vacuoles, plastids, etc. And plant cells contain chloroplast. So first is nucleus. The nucleus is the most important organelle of the cell. There is a porous double membrane around it. The nucleus controls all functions of the cell. So it is called as control center of the cell. Next is endoplasmic reticulum. It is a sprawling net-like organelle. Its function is to make necessary changes in the proteins which is produced by ribosomes and send them to the Golgi bodies. So it is the transport system of proteins in the cell. Next is Golgi bodies. Golgi bodies are made up of several flat sacs. Their function is the proper distribution of proteins. Mitochondria and plastids are organelles with double outer coverings. You can see in the diagram. At mitochondria produce energy. They are called the powerhouse of the cell. The chloroplast in plant cells carry out the function of photosynthesis. It is possible because the presence of the chlorophyll. Vacuoles help to throw out waste products of the cell. Vacuoles in animal cells are small, whereas there is only one large vacuole in a plant cell. So these are the cell organelles. The major difference in animal and plant cells are in animal cells there is no covering around the cell membrane, whereas in plant cells the cell wall surrounds the cell membrane. In animal cells vacuoles are small, whereas in plant cells vacuole is large. In animal cells chlorophyll is absent, whereas in plant cells chlorophyll is present. So students, today we studied cell, measurement and observation of cell size, cell structure, cell organelles and their functions. Please read the lesson carefully, learn new words, underline important points, that is cell organelles and their functions. Thank you. Stay home. Stay safe.